Digital Dan. Still wearing the shirt from last episode, and I give him props for being that courageous.
He didn't change.
Jon Snow isn't that courageous.
How dare you?
Wait, because I'm putting down Jon Snow or because I'm attacking Digital
He's
Dan?
dumb, but he's courageous. That's his thing.
Who are we talking about
Jon
now?
Snow.
Okay, because I couldn't tell.
No, Digital Dan is smart and not courageous.
So Action Aaron did just call with the 7 deuce off. That is not a
Living up to the name, you know?
mistake. Will's going to make everybody pay the price.
When you say that is not a mistake, you mean there's not a mistake of the graphics.
That's right. Is it a mistake of Action Aaron? Maybe.
I don't think Stuart can continue with
No.
this part of his range here when Wheel 3-bets.
Agreed. Agreed.
By the way, Stuart also still wearing the same garb from the previous episode.
I mean, what is even happening in this world? The way people are dressing and looking. Why?
I got a little sneak preview for you. Couple weeks down the line, perhaps.
Yeah.
There might be some interesting garb worn by pretty much everybody at the table. It's going to be a special episode.
Oh, really? Wait, a very special poker time?
There will be.
This week on a very special
it's
poker
like
time.
It's like next month, but yeah.
A hero will fall. That's what they always say in
I mean,
this very special
In a
ones.
way, a hero does fall.
I know, actually. I realized as I was saying it that it's sort of even true. Sort of. So people are going to be wearing a similar kind of getup, you're saying?
Yeah, well, not to these. But you'll see. I mean, that's enough. We don't need to talk about that anymore. Carter has kings.
We can talk about that, I guess.
He's not going to get any action unless Dan has something, and he doesn't.
No!
Hey, plus 15 is better than minus 2K.
Dan shows us that discretion is often the better part of valor.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect example of why that makes sense. Dan folding 10-4
Okay,
off.
fine. Stuart's hoodie is the perfect example of why that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not looking so full of valor right now, Stuart.
Not valiant?
Because not so much discretion was used. Come on, man. Why? That's what I need to ask. Why?
Laundry day.
It's like foliage camouflage. I'm going to fool the deer.
Well, that's the whole point, obviously.
Is it? Aren't you just trying to fool other humans mostly?
Only when you're in combat with humans.
Doesn't have to be about combat. Just to sneak up on people and surprise them.
Give them a wet willy.
Woohoo! It's me. That kind of a thing. Here's Ken calling with the 9-6 suited. It's been long enough. Players ready to open it up a little bit.
We are into the second hour of this
Yes.
session. This is the second episode of this session.
We are, but it does sort of ruin my joke.
Well, you know what? Your joke
What?
sucked anyway.
I mean...
You can't deny it.
It's
You
in
can't
the
deny
eye- It's in the eye of the beholder, man. Somebody out there laughed.
Yeah.
At least one person laughed.
Some Dumbo. All right, Ken flops best with a 9 here.
Check.
Ken probably just going to win a lot, assuming he decides to bet this flop.
This board is dry enough that Aaron could take a C-bet shot if he wanted to, even into 3 players, but it would be ambitious.
Yeah.
As we can see, it wouldn't have worked. And I don't think anybody can do anything except fold to Ken here.
But I guess it's percent.
Yeah, it's relative, not absolute. Yeah.
Like a real.
Folds.
I won all the ways, though.
Folds.
What'd you say?
I lost the most body fat. I lost the highest percentage body fat. I lost the highest.
There's a mythical being off screen there that Stuart and Aaron are looking at.
They're looking admirably. Admiringly.
Admirably, like an admiral?
Admiringly. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Admiringly
It
off
is,
screen.
but now I'm onto this admirably thing.
Admirably.
How does one look admirably?
The way you look generally at something, I guess. Oh, damn! I pulled it out!
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good. Or privately. Majorly. It's totally easy to do. Actually, Aaron decides not to play this hand.
It's a little bit too good.
Yeah.
That was substantial.
He's like, I like to play the little cards. When everyone else playing the big cards.
That was just such an intro to his statement.
Isn't that what Negreanu used to say?
I don't know. I hear people say it all the time. I don't know
Yeah.
if Negreanu used to say it. Digital Dan, actual hand.
Joseph, actual hand.
Carter, actual hand. Pretty exciting. I mean, not yet, really, but it
No,
could be.
I mean, I'm
we
not-
could get some flops here.
I'm
There's
not
some
excited.
flops.
All right, there's something there.
There is a flop. Carter flops best. Digital Dan has something too. Is Carter just going to lead into the digital one? He is. Interesting.
I don't like this.
Digital Dan is opening from the button, so he's got a really wide range.
So
but
what?
Yeah, he's often going to take a shot on this board.
It doesn't matter. Carter has a queen. Like you don't
Yeah.
you don't want to fold out 7-8 suited. You want 7-8 suited to c-bet.
It could be that Carter's thinking about trying to build a bigger pot, and he's aware that with any improving card, it's really hard to get action, and so he's trying to build a pot now.
I just feel like it plays a lot better as a check call. I mean,
I agree.
you see Dan fold ace jack. That's kind of an indictment on that bet.
No, it's not. It's an indictment on Digital Dan. Come on, that you would you fold ace jack there? I would not.
I think
Look
I
at how
would-
wet that board is.
No, I wouldn't fold it, but I think if some players are going to fold ace jack there, that's a problem for Carter.
As long as he's got draws that he's betting there too, it's okay.
I
he's got
don't think
spades and he's
that's
got
how you
open
balance out
enders.
your draws. You don't balance out your draws
Yeah.
with your semi-bluff middle pair with a draw hand. You balance it out with much bigger hands.
I mean, it's hard to argue that point. I'd like to argue it though, because I like arguing, especially with you, and I like proving you wrong. But I feel like I'm just going to lose on all fronts this time. And
well, it's good to
they
know.
say Stuart likes to say discretion is the better part of
It's a good,
being valerious.
You
or
really
something.
tried. You tried so hard.
Valor Margulis, I think, is the thing. She was one of the stars of ER, right?
Sure.
Julianne Margulis. Anywho, that's right. The pop culture references never stop.
It's amazing. It's really a wonderful thing. All right, so Wheel's going to call. Against a guy like Ken, I feel like Wheel maybe should be 3-betting ace-4 suited in these positions because Ken opens a lot, a fair amount at least, and won't fold a lot, but still, ace-4 suited is going to be ahead of a lot of the hands he calls with. Aaron's going to have the best hand here, though.
It's really okay to call, though, with ace-4 suited
It is.
also.
It is. I'm just thinking about Ken specifically and how he
Yeah.
really V-pips a lot higher than people think he does based on how he looks and stuff. Carter
Well-
flops really well. That's a straight flush draw with a flush.
It's really
It's a
a
double-
flush with a straight flush draw, isn't it?
No, the straight flush draw is more cool. So it's a double gutted straight flush draw with a flush.
Ken is going to bet his middle pair and gut shot. Not insane.
No, but he's not gonna like what happens. That's for sure.
Well, it's going to be really hard for Ken to win this pot. It's possible he is 2%.
It could come another diamond. He could decide to bluff, or he could get runner.
It is amazing how you got 5 guys see this flop, and between the other 4 guys, there's 3% equity.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good spot for
nobody has a
Carter.
bigger diamond. Makes it pretty easy to have all the equity or a set or 2 pair.
Yep. Carter, by the way, once again leading. Now, granted, this is 5 ways.
He
and
did
this
not
is
lead.
Carter not leading.
I don't know why you said
I
that.
don't know. I just, in my mind, Ken was calling. I guess I was caught up in telling all the other things I was saying, telling the world all the stuff. Anyway, Carter, that's right. Of course, Ken was betting his 7-6. Carter checks again.
Ken checks it right back.
Carter, who was pretty sure he had the best hand anyway now, would be shocked if he didn't.
And now he has a straight flush.
Now he'd be
so-
really shocked if he
Yeah,
didn't.
it'd be tough not to. He checks it again.
He's got the nuts with the nut blocker.
Oh, it sucks to see Ken turn those cards over without betting.
What do you think about the check here by Carter? I don't know if I guess he's trying to get Ken to bluff.
Yeah.
Because Ken obviously is never going to anything that Ken's going to bet with is for value.
Right, and Ken might check back the ace of diamonds on the turn, and check raising might be the best way to get the most value out of the ace of diamonds or even the king of diamonds.
The truth is, if you bet the river against the ace of diamonds specifically, it just might raise you. The
Yeah.
king of diamonds is probably not going to raise you though.
Yeah.
The king of diamonds is probably going to fold to a check raise though. At least some of the time.
Ken gets stubborn sometimes, though.
That is a good point. We talked right over the players talking about the hand that time.
Sure did.
Carter was just talking about how he was going for the check raise.
I mean, of course he was.
Yeah.
He's not going to check call. He has the nuts.
I mean, maybe he wants to see what Ken had. And he doesn't want to wait for the show to come out. Or ask us.
We wouldn't tell him anyway.
I mean, I could lie. That would be fun.
You do like that. You
He's
like
got
lying.
2 hobgoblins and an elf. That's a Roland DeWolf joke from like 2011.
Yeah, no, it's like from 2004.
It's a Magic the Gathering joke, right?
Yeah.
It's a classic, actually.
So
it's really
sick-
worth finding.
It's so sick. You got 2 wizards in it, or you got 2 hobgoblins and it comes wizard, 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 or something like that.
It's close enough.
Yeah. We got 2 ace kings here. Already won his 3-bet.
And it looks like it's just going to be just a call here for Carter. He definitely could have called 4-bet there.
Could have, but I don't mind a call in position here.
The only problem with calling here is you got to protect your cold 4-betting range a little bit, and one of the ways to do it is to not always just have aces and kings. And this is one of the, and so having ace king is a pretty good one where it blocks aces and kings itself and is doing fine against things like queens. Ken is going to call with the ace jack suited. I guess it's not crazy because he's
there's
closing the action.
A lot of money in the pot already.
Yeah, he's just he's going to need a jack or some diamonds.
Unsuited, I imagine he would have folded.
Yeah, I would hope.
One diamond, but that's not going to do it. And I wonder if everybody's just going to be a little bit scared here that somebody has to have an overpair, which you would expect, right?
I mean, if Joseph checks, Carter's the guy whose opponents are least likely to have the overpair, right? And Joseph just check.
And Carter now has a bunch of 10s, jacks, queens,
Exactly.
9s in his range, and
Completely
he can wrap
reasonable.
those hands.
At the same point, he may be thinking, like, I put myself in a position where if I bet, my opponents may respond almost perfectly. Where they're going to fold the ace queens and call with the pairs. But still, I like a bet here.
But his opponents don't have that many pairs, as you said, because
Ken can have those.
Ken can have the pairs, but his pairs aren't as big.
Right.
And a multi-street plan can work better against. And Ken looks like he's going to...
Well.
That I don't understand.
Joseph now, I don't think Joseph can call him though he's getting the world's greatest price.
Let's take a second and think about this call by Ken.
Okay.
Carter cold called a 3-bet pre-flop and then bet on this flop. What does Ken think Carter has?
I guess he's really hoping he has 10s. And he's thinking, I've got 2 backdoors, overs, and I'm getting a great price. Because otherwise, I don't know what this could be.
Carter's not going to show up with king, queen too often or hands like that.
Carter even has position on him.
Yeah, this is... I don't know about this, Ken.
Yeah. Oh, but Ken knows all about it.
I guess Ken knows all... I mean, wow, this is unlucky for Carter.
That is a super 6 spike. Super 6 spike.
If these hands get shown down and we could vault Batiste into Carter's spot, can you imagine his reaction?
A lot of eye rolls. Carter checks it back, understandably. Carter now... That actually is not a bad card for Carter to bet, honestly, the jack. But again, now going for value.
Trying to get called
no
by
way.
10s.
No chance he's going to get it.
He's trying to get called by 10s is what he's doing.
I mean, honestly, Carter's the guy who can have ace queen.
He can.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this bet from Ken either. I don't know if you can really get value. I guess if Carter had 10s, he could call.
I really don't like the call on the flop is what I
No,
don't
of
like
course
from
not,
Ken.
of course not.
The bet is more okay to me. At least you can get called by 9s or 10s.
What's the flop? He calls like, I have to go ahead. But then I'm like,
Carter really did sort of understand where he was at. Seems like most of that hand.
6-4, and I'm like, oh.
There's LA.
Yep.
LA and Ken, that's quite a pair. They'd make a good little buddy movie, I think. LA, the cantankerous one, and Ken, the, just having a good time. All that cares about having a good time one,
I feel like you're like 70% there.
LA's like, you got to do it by the book, Ken. Ken's like, rules are for, whatever he would say. I haven't written this yet.
Your jokes are about 70% there today. And some of them feel a little bit like you have dementia. All right, so Action Aaron is going to 3-bet with ace-king suited. I don't think anybody can call here. Action Aaron is not deep enough for Joseph to call.
No, but if he gets one caller in front of him, he can call. Now that Ken's about to call, it looks like Joseph can call.
I think Ken should probably be folding that.
But now Joseph has to call.
Under the gun. Yeah, now Joseph does have to call because Ken is deep and Joseph is the effective stack between them.
And he's also getting a better price immediately, which helps too.
Yeah.
He's now getting over 3-1 immediate odds plus another 11-1 on his call. Implied odds from Aaron and a lot more, of course, from Ken.
3 players.
He's coming back?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as he's coming back. If he was always coming back, then there are odds.
And all those plans are just up in smoke there for Joseph.
Well, they usually are.
Yeah, of course.
Set mining is not something that is going to come through that often. The whole point is that when it does, it's worth it. And Aaron loves this flop, obviously.
This is a super easy bet for Aaron.
Yeah, Ken has a lot of aces in his range. Even Joseph has some aces in his range that are going to pay off.
Aaron's also got a nicely set up stack to pot ratio here where he just doesn't have to worry about anything. Someone wants to check raise him, fine. Like, cool, the board's kind of wet, never folding. Someone has ace 10 or 2 5s or something, whatever. There's no hard decisions.
Big draw.
Joseph
showing a card saying he doesn't know what to do. I think he does know what to do. It's waste time.
He said he had deuce 4 of hearts and he didn't know what to do. I don't know why he's doing that.
2 seconds.
Like 4 deuce.
Why is Joseph doing this? Why did he do that?
I don't know. That was weird.
He just wanted to show a card, maybe?
Maybe.
Was it actually deuce 4?
See, Joseph, here's a little tip from the guys who make videos. Cool idea, poor execution. Pick a hand where it matters, where there's an actual decision for you or your opponent. Then show a card. Bam. Now we got something. Now that's TV gold.
Also, Joseph is claiming he just folded deuce 4 of hearts on that board, which is absurd.
No one believes that.
Nobody would ever do that.
Right. So then he's just wasting everyone's time is what he's letting everyone know. So instead of doing that, next time, have it matter. Have it be like your opponent's making a decision. You've got an actual decision. You decide to show a card. Now we're talking.
Joseph does do cool stuff like that sometimes. That time was just weird.
It didn't seem to make him nervous.
Carter going to open up the range here.
I would say so.
Aaron going to keep the range similar to what it usually is.
Four of hearts didn't seem to make you too nervous, so that's the best of all.
Play.
Small blind calls.
Not going to fold. And Ken is immediately pulling out the raising chips. Probably just going to win right here.
Although we have a timed game here where they only have 30 seconds to act, Ken may never use a time card in all the time that he plays. He acts pretty quickly in general.
He does.
When Carter folded, I saw his bomb.
Looks like we got 2 folds here already. I don't know what's going on with
Something was
graphics.
exposed, it sounds like.
Ah.
Bomb card.
Did anyone else see it though?
Well,
Bam!
always,
I had it.
It's always the exposed card. Yeah.
It's the only reason I raised.
I gotta imagine LA is gonna fold, or already has. We're not sure.
He has not yet folded, but surely he will.
King's any good?
Yes. I'm gonna say that Ken's really good. Go on a limb.
Okay, so I got something I've been thinking about for a while.
Can't wait.
Wheel.
Yeah.
It's been bugging me for a long time. Who does that guy look like? Who does he look? He looks like someone. I finally figured it out.
I never thought he looked like anybody. Who does he look like?
You know who Bob Euchre is?
I've heard the name.
Mr. Belvedere?
I kind of
Not
remember.
no, he doesn't. Mr. Belvedere is not the guy. It's the guy who is Mr. Belvedere's employer is Bob Euchre and who he looks like. 'Cause Mr. Belvedere doesn't look like this. He really looks like Bob Euchre. Can we, Jackson? Can we get a shot of Bob Euchre, Mr. Belvedere from Mr. Belvedere up on the screen? Can we do that? No.
Jackson
Can we
was
get
fired months ago.
Jackson
was fired. You're just shouting
What
into
is-
the void.
Jackson.
Meanwhile, we've got some action here, but we don't know what it is yet. It looks like Joseph was folded under the gun. Carter has done something. Joseph had Jack 6. We know that now. Carter is limped with the 4s.
Interesting.
And we've got a
Big
5-way
flop for
here.
Ken.
4-way flop. Yeah, Ken flop's big. He's going to get some action from Wheel,
Yep.
I'd imagine.
Wheels rolling got running 7s and running hearts. Checks through.
Somehow checks
Ken
through.
checks on the button with top 2.
No, he's in the small blind.
Oh, they're just wrong about
Yeah,
his
that's
position.
what the thing is.
Jackson!
This is why Jackson was fired, because of
Yeah.
things like this.
It is super brutal. But okay, Ken bets 50 from the small blind. No one checked to him. That's fine. Wheel with top pair. Very reasonably calling here.
Yeah. Probably going to have to pay again. And LA calls with
What?
the gut shot.
Okay. Well, he's in position.
A 7 would be a pretty interesting card. Instead, it's an ace.
Ken's going to go for value here. Not the greatest card in the world, really, to go for value on.
No, Queen Jack got there.
Aces up gets there.
It's not the greatest card in the world to
Whoa,
call.
with LA behind you. Wow.
Wheel just really doesn't believe Ken.
Belvedere, you. I don't know if he said that. I never saw that show.
I didn't either.
Damn it, Belvedere.
I think you should stick to cultural references that you actually understand.
I understand it. I just don't know it intimately. You want me to, I mean, look, if you want me to do Avengers references the whole time, I can do it. I'm willing to do it. I just know you hate that stuff.
Yeah, please don't.
So, you know, it's Belvedere or Avengers. You decide.
Why does it have to be-
You want early 80s sitcoms or do you want, current
Why-
pop culture
Why can't we
superhero
have more
movies?
options?
I guess there's a Breaking Bad thing once in a while. Stuff like that, too. There will be a Breaking Bad reference here and there. If you get lucky, Mad Men.
Flush, he did. That's why if you could hear it, I said, no, you had the 10 o'clock.
That's what Jay
That's
coined.
yeah, he actually did.
I didn't make.
Joseph's going to be excited once he stops rubbing those cards and he sees that they're ace-king.
You brought it to this game.
You look more excited just to keep talking to Dan, honestly.
Well, they have fun conversations, those guys.
You know, someone just today in the YouTube comments asked why he's called Digital Dan. He said, is that guy's name really Digital Dan? And I mean, on one level, the answer is yes.
You're gonna have to go back and watch the Poker Time archives to understand all of the different
Yeah.
reasons.
On another level, the answer is absolutely not. His name is not that. So
His name is
both.
Dan.
Right. Is his
Dan-
name Digital Dan? Well, I mean, it is in the show.
What's in a name, really?
Letters.
Anyway, Digital Dan is in trouble if an ace flops, but instead of
Digital
Jack
Dan
flops,
puts everyone else in the can of trouble.
you gotta stop trying so hard, man.
I'm not trying at all. Okay,
Maybe
so
you should try harder.
Joseph's going to c-bet here. It is a relatively dry board. If no one has a jack, Joseph's usually going to win.
Yeah, it's tough to continue with hands like 9s or 10s here. You probably should. But
I don't know, but it depends on where you're sitting, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got guys behind you, it's hard. Now, Dan not folding, of course, on this flop. Dan also with the backdoor flush draw. This is a pretty good flop for him.
Is he raising? No, it's just a call. I like that.
Yeah, against Joseph's under the gun range. Oh, what a spicy turn card for Dan. Now he picks up all the draws. Joseph, of course, has a gut shot as well.
Joseph could decide to continue betting if he wants to rep an overpair here.
Yeah, I don't hate a bet at all from Joseph's point of view, now, especially now he's picked up a little bit of extra equity.
You would think.
Yeah,
But-
it turns out he hasn't, but in his mind.
and he's going to keep betting. He's repping
like it.
the Queens plus.
And he does fire again. He's like, I got it, bro.
Actually, he's
And,
repping.
Dan's like, bro, I got it.
He's repping Dan's hand plus, really, is what he's repping.
Yeah, that's right.
Dan, of course, not folding. I
Dan-
don't think there's much value in raising at this point.
The only value in raising is if a scary card comes on the river that improves Dan, he would want to get paid, and it's really hard to.
Yeah, but it's also not so likely that Joseph would put Dan on a flush if a club came because it's backdoor.
True, but if Dan suddenly bets out when the club comes, it's not gonna be great.
God.
That is
That is so unfair.
the two-outer to destroy Digital Dan's world and force him to wear that shirt. Joseph finally takes the lead and checks it right back. I will say, I doubt Digital Dan was going to call again anyway.
Yeah, it's tough to get called by a worse hand at that point if you're Joseph.
Now you can only beat Ace Queen and a 2-10s that decided to bluff like crazy for no real reason.
That was a pretty good run out for Joseph. Dan, you can see is dying on the inside, but he's taking it well externally. But you can kind of see the
Oh, yeah.
inside
Look at that.
crumbling.
I missed every flop, but I was like, okay.
The river that time.
No, I know. That's,
LA down. Ken the big winner. Not surprising. He always is.
Well,
I
when
mean,
he turns
always
when he
a little
turns
strong.
the jack against Carter and stuff like that, it makes it pretty easy.
Makes it easier. I'll say that once. I mean, Joseph just rivered a king. I don't see him with, on top. I see Ken on top.
Well, that's because he's Ken.
Yeah.
Raise to 30. Folds.
pounding pitchers.
You got a fold, raise to 30, fold.
I think we need to get Ken a T-shirt that says "I am become death," because that's, of course, the next line is "Destroyer of Worlds."
You can get that for him if you want. I'm not gonna.
I'm not going to pay for it.
I'm not gonna chip in.
I want someone else to pay for it, and then I would be happy to present it to Ken.
As if you had paid for it.
Well, I'm willing to share credit. I'm going to say someone else paid for it.
Meanwhile, Action Aaron opened +1 with 6 deuce.
And there it
Look
is.
at the flop. He also has his opponent with a 10.
Diamonds for Action Aaron as well, just in case. But come on, who cares about that? This is just the flop you're looking for against this hand.
Pretty simple call here for Wheel.
Yeah. Action Aaron did open +1, and on the button is good. Wheel.
Oh, Wheel is reaching
That's
for.
more than a call.
So this is maybe a game theory disaster here, where Wheel's gonna get called by all better hands and fold out all worse
Well,
hands. He could get called by draws.
At least there's a spade draw. Maybe Aaron could decide once in a while Wheel has a spade draw and call him with a worse 10, 10-9. 10-9 might call.
Sure. I mean,
There's not much though.
it's not great.
We are close to the entering the game theory disaster.
And did Aaron just 3-bet or call? I couldn't tell there.
We're gonna know soon. It looks like a 3-bet because
Yep.
we're back on Wheel. Yep,
It's very small 3-bet. I don't think Wheel should call. Honestly, like I know it's cheap, but
At least he has the 10 of spades in
what
his
do you,
hand.
that's not good. You don't want the 10 of spades in your hand.
Well, if it goes spade, maybe you do. That's about it.
yeah.
No, I agree with you. Good
There's
card
a
for Action
diamond.
Aaron. Even more out-killing cards now. Does that make sense?
The Jack of Diamonds is no longer an out.
That's
is
what I'm
you
trying
mean.
to say. There's 2 10s and an 8 left for Wheel. Although it says 6 outs up top. This is very confusing. Yeah, he's got 6 outs. I don't know why some of them are blacked out up top there, but
I'm never going to realize the potential of my flush draw.
he's got the jacks, the 8s, 10s, but no diamonds.
Anyway, I think it's time for Wheel to pack it up here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Aaron just 3-bet the flop. He didn't have to do
And
that.
then he bet almost pot on the turn here. You're sitting there with a pretty bad one-pair hand against an under-the-gun range.
+1, but
Plus
yeah.
1. It is action Aaron, and of course he has 6 deuce.
He just moved in and got
Whoa.
called. He just moved in and got called. Wow. This pot got way bigger than it had to. We could have just gone call, and lost like $350.
Well, Wheel could still win this thing.
A lot of money's gone in.
did
He does not.
Action Aaron makes a boat. And I think that is reputation getting Action Aaron paid.
Wow, that really happened kind of fast. Action Aaron made almost 1.8, 1.9K in that pot. A little bit more, actually. A little more than 1.8 anyway. That pot just didn't have to get that big.
He didn't make that much. He started with like 1,000. So.
He had it just said 1.5 was the all-in on the turn.
Because Wheel had more than him. He's the one.
No,
who
Wheel had 1.7. Aaron had
Wheel's the one
1.5.
who went all in. He had Aaron covered. You're not accounting for that.
It said Aaron all in 1.5, and it said Wheel had 1.7. I'm just saying what the graphic said.
Either way, Aaron's only up 1.1.
Yeah,
He wasn't
but
really.
they've been playing for more. He wasn't exactly even
I'm right,
before we
you're
started. You are right though. Aaron bet like 600 and had 500
Yeah.
back, aren't you? Okay, so he had 1.1 there. This damn numbers, Jackson.
No, that's your fault.
It's the software's fault, man. The computers.
That you don't understand things.
These newfangled machines with their Twitter and their Instaface.
So I don't know why
Yeah.
Wheel did what he did.
Okay.
The best guess I have is that it's an Action Aaron reputation thing, but it's not like Aaron's been going bananas, and he's not going to show up there with just like king queen offsuit.
No. All he can beat is really big spade draws.
Yeah.
Ace king of spades, ace queen of spades, those kinds of hands he can beat. Ace jack of spades. That's exactly the hands he can beat. There's really nothing else Aaron can have that you can beat. But Aaron might play those hands like that, those 3 hands like that. Maybe king queen of spades, maybe queen jack of spades also.
But he might also play
Maybe
overpairs
king
like
jack
that and sets and random Aaron hands like 6 deuce of diamonds.
There's not enough. I mean, we can only come up with like 5 or 6 bluffing combinations, and we come up with way more non-bluffing.
And by the way, you
combinations. You're
don't
right.
always win against the bluffing combinations. Those have
That is-
some equity against.
They have
you.
reasonable equity. This is a really good point.
I think you should probably not raise the flop, and then once you do and get 3-bet, you should probably fold to 3-bet, and then when the turn happens and he bets pot, you should probably fold then.
It's hard to argue any of that. But here's Digital Dan with the queen jack anyway, because he don't care.
I don't know why you would.
That's why we call him Digital
Why
Dan.
would you say anyway?
You know, you're so caught up in syntax. Let's look at this hand.
Maybe you say things that make sense.
2 pocket pairs, queen jack, and the 7-6 off. Oh!
Looks like bad news for Digital Dan here.
There's
Is
going to be
Carter-
some pain.
Carter flopped a boat and Dan has tripped queens.
Carter leading. Now, see, Carter leads with different kinds of hands. And
Yeah.
he leads with a super strong hand here.
I just think the queen 10 hand
I
before
know.
was not the type you should.
I do understand, but I'm saying
I like this lead. This is good.
he's not always leading polarized. That's all.
I mean, true. Just felt like a bad decision.
I mean, he had equity against everything that called him in the other hand. But let's
That
worry about
wasn't-
this
that
hand.
wasn't the point.
Let's worry about this
That
hand.
wasn't the point.
This is much more interesting than that. Let's stay focused.
Dan-
Digital Dan, will he raise or will he call?
I feel like a call is in order.
Me too. Carter can just have king queen here and have you
Yeah.
in huge trouble. I like just calling for sure.
Raising is to protect against diamond draws.
Who cares?
It's an
There we
ace.
go. So now Dan is only chopping against every queen. Best Dan should be able to do is chop unless Carter has diamonds.
That's not true.
That is not true. I am wrong. the jack could be playing.
Yeah.
Carter absolutely can have worse queens here. Actually,
Yeah.
he absolutely can. That's good. Boy, what's going on with me today?
I don't know.
Who knows? It's weird. Digital Dan looks like he is raising. It's not crazy,
I don't know if I like it.
but it's hard. Now you might chase away some like the really bad queens may find folds, which is not good. Carter, of
Carter
course,
moves in, and now Dan's in a real pickle. I think he has to fold now. I guess you could put Carter on king jack, king 10 of diamonds.
I mean, don't believe
like-
in a second Carter would ever move in on a paired board against Digital Dan with those hands, though.
But that's the best you can hope for, right? Is the combo draws.
I mean, I guess you can hope for queen 10 also, but I don't think for a second Carter's moving in with any of those hands.
I don't either.
So I think you can hope for anything you want, but they're not
You
realistic.
can hope for pocket threes. It's actually one of the better scenarios for Dan here, in that he
Jeez.
actually has some outs.
Cool. You can hope for 19% equity. I think Dan has to fold.
Yep.
It's only $650 to call. Man,
It's a good price.
it is a great price. Dan clearly was not expecting this when he raised. This is the problem when you raise in these spots and aren't sure what you're going to do when you get shoved on. I like that he's taking a little time to think about it. I wish he had taken that much time to think about his shirt. Carter's just waiting around, head down. Interesting poker face thing.
Reset it.
Carter knows. I mean, Carter was pretty sure he had the best hand anyway now. He's known it for a while.
Oh, and Dan calls. And he's got 19%. You could still win.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That's the hand I was afraid of. Thought I'd hear from King Queen pre.
The 10 comes in, so Queen 10 would have beat him anyway.
Dan said he thought he would have heard from King Queen pre. I'm not sure why he thinks that. Carter was in the big blind and called the raise. I don't think he would have. I don't think he was going to squeeze that often with King Queen.
It's a little bit of a justification, I think.
Yeah.
So, like extra justification.
You can't even beat King Queen. I just don't think Carter's ever shoving with Queen 10 or worse. I don't think he's shoving with King Queen, but at least he's short enough. Maybe he would have decided to.
Are we drinking now?
I am. Fuck, I've been waiting for you all
Raise
night.
to 35.
for.
I get it. Hey, call the service.
Stuart's going to raise to 35 with a Queen Jack off under the gun.
He did kind of just call you out on camera. He did kind of just do that. After the mics were back on.
Can
somebody call
We could rewind the tape, but he could have said it on regular.
And that was a boring hand.
I had outs.
Just over 14K in the pot. The turn is the 4 of diamonds.
Hey, what is that? Speaking of turn, coming around the mountain? Is
Oh.
that the Nitrogen Sports Poker Train?
I think they did buy a train recently.
If you listen, you can hear its very familiar jingle. And choo-choo. Wait, there's the jingle. Nitro, nitro, nitro. Nitro, nitro, nitro.
Wow, that's the weirdest ad ever all of a sudden.
Anyway, Nitrogen Sports Poker Room is, they let us do ads like this.
They
perhaps
do.
because they don't listen to them.
Free reign, baby. Nitro, nitro, nitro. Nitro, nitro, nitro. I don't know. I feel like it's time for Nitrogen to do a new ad with me starring as a submarine.
Well, you should get them informed of that idea.
I mean, am I not informing them right now? I'm putting it on blast. I'm doing it on social media. This is social media. To be clear.
I don't know if Nitrogen watches every single minute of every single
You know
poker
what?
time.
You know what? That's on them, isn't it? If they're not doing that.
But that doesn't help you get your submarine face.
Damn it.
Fold. One calls.
Well, I think hashtag JL Submarine Face is going to start trending anyway. And they'll eventually see it.
Yeah, we just got to get like somebody famous to tweet that.
Somebody famous.
Yeah, like
Hey, Stuart just flopped a flush. Watch
there's
out
a-
for the offsuit queen there, LA.
there's a 10 for Aaron as well.
So it's Crane.
It's only 30 in the pot. This is
Yeah.
probably going to be disappointing for Stuart.
Oh.
Probably love those guys play like a gamble or.
Oh, no.
LA folds. Yes, he does. And Aaron just folds middle pair. How do you know?
I mean, there's not a ton of reason to call, honestly. Like
I mean, Aaron could be betting a flush draw.
Aaron, you mean Stuart?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be betting a flush draw. I mean, you're just not going to have a ton of equity against the range that decides to lead there. And like, what are you hoping for?
I mean, you could hope for you call 30 and it checks down and you win. That's pretty good.
But then Stuart has what when he
A
checks
10
down?
on a 10. Stuart has a give up. Or Stuart has like a worse 10, by the way, that he bets once and then decides not to keep charging the draws with. I mean, there's
There's a
it's
couple.
only $30.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he folded.
I'm fine with the fold.
The fake news part of it might be the used to. Yeah? Yeah.
I think Neil Patrick Harris, if he tweets about you getting submarine face, that'll get the movement going.
Okay, NPH, hashtag JL Submarine Face. All you guys need to tweet at Neil Patrick Harris to get this going. Otherwise, I'm concerned
Yeah.
about the momentum. Also, Nitrogen's going to have to understand what that means once it gets famous, and I'm concerned about that, too.
You should
Really,
be.
really
You should be. You
concerned
should
about
be.
that.
You should be concerned.
Small blind calls.
From Australia, right? And he was
Stuart calls with the ace-10 off from the small blind. That is a bit of a loose call, especially against Digital Dan's +2 open, who Digital Dan usually not going to be opening with 8-7 off.
Well, like, maybe Stuart knows something.
Maybe he does. Digital Dan with the gutter and overs at least to second and third pair. He's going to continue on this pretty dry board, and usually that's it.
Yeah, I don't see any continuation from either opponent.
LA's going to do his thing where he takes time before he folds. I will say this is his move. Oh, that was pretty fast.
Not bad.
That was pretty fast. LA does like to take his time before he folds, though, I will say. I was playing with LA recently, and I encouraged the table to play the LA game, which is anytime he had a decision, just for the whole table to hold their breath and not die before LA acted. And almost everyone survived that night.
Almost.
Yeah.
APPT.
But you don't see Terminator in this game. There's a reason for
Yeah.
that.
R.I.P., bro.
Yeah.
A hero will fall on a very special poker time. Yeah, no Terminator, no Batiste, no Wonka. You know, who will die and who will live on the next poker time? It's like Game of Thrones up in here.
It's a lot like it. There's almost no difference.
Game of Thrones or Mr. Belvedere?
You whispered to me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Fold.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Action Aaron, real hand.
Yet again, he's had ace king of clubs twice now in this episode.
Oh, no.
What's that?
What's he drinking? Patron. What about you, Dan? You want moonshine?
No action unless Ken gets crazy.
I'll just wait till the end of the hour. Thanks, buddy.
I probably should
I'll
too.
take one. It's just the logistics of actually.
I think they're negotiating taking a shot,
I ain't buying him shit.
knowing these guys maybe multiple shots. So we'll see how that changes the game.
Loosen it up a little bit, maybe, huh?
Good.
A little more action, a little
There's
craziness.
been some action, man. There's been some big pots.
Yeah, but not drunkenly big.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that Wheel was drunk during that Jack 10 run.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I just put him on a draw, clearly. Hey, Digital Dan's got aces, though. Aces, and he's got those dice.
Sometimes he uses the dice, but so far not.
yet. That's why they call him Dice-Iddle Dan.
Nice. That's really. Oh.
Oh, boy.
Well, this is going to be a problem for Aaron.
Aaron's going to probably lose a lot of money in this hand. Carter, by the way, has one of Aaron's outs in his hand.
At least Aaron has 2 live suits as he 3-bets here.
I assume we're just going to see a 4-bet most of the time from El Digitale.
Although-
Wheel's going to...
No, I mean,
No,
there's already a
it's 120.
3-bet.
Yeah, you're right. Also, the under the gun player has the option to 4-bet, and of course, I gotta believe would and will.
Wheel really wants to play the hand. You can see
Oh,
that.
look at that! Gosh darn it, Mr. Belvedere! What'd you do with the kids' jackets? Nobody likes crusts on their peanut butter and all right, so let's see how much is Digital Dan gonna make it here.
He's going to make a call.
Whoa, that is a surprising call with Carter still in, and Carter almost obligated a call with almost his entire range there.
Yeah.
I do not like that call by Digital Dan.
It's going to save him. Oh, save Aaron some money sometimes. This
Yeah.
board shouldn't save Aaron too much money.
No, this is actually a pretty good card for the digital one to decide just to check raise if he wants to.
Yeah, if Aaron has
You
10s
could also
full.
check call.
If
Check
Aaron
call.
has 10s full, so be it. You know, like other than that, Dan is ahead and Aaron has a lot of overpairs.
Yeah. Stack to pot is pretty good for this overpair spot. And as you said, Action Aaron only with 3 combos of 10s and all the other overpairs in play.
Yeah, I think a check raise is best, but Dan decides just to call, try to keep the bluffs alive if there are any. But
See,
I think the bluffs are going to
don't-
stop.
I don't like this because now also, is Aaron even going to bet kings on the turn? Dan could have a 7.
I think Aaron's going to bet kings on the turn.
Not anymore. he
Never
isn't.
mind. I think Aaron was going to bet kings on the
He
turn.
probably was going to on some brick cards.
If it was a deuce or
Yeah.
something like that, he was going to bet it.
Now,
Now you
how
can't.
can he
You can't
possibly bet?
You absolutely cannot bet on this
No,
board
neither
now.
player likes this card. This is a brutal card. Aaron hates it. Of
Aaron
course.
hates it more. I mean, Dan is supposed to have way more 10s and 7s
Yeah.
in his range.
Aaron does not know how great this card is. Let's see if he can actually not bet it though. Oh, okay, there we go. Good.
Dan's got to feel pretty confident that he has the best hand here.
Sure, but also he's missed out on so much value. All right,
I think Dan
time
should
to
go
bet.
for value. He should be betting.
There's 1,000 in the pot.
Let's try to get called by jacks, queens,
Yeah,
or kings,
exactly.
right? So let's bet-
750?
Yeah, something like that.
700. I think 700 is a really good price. Give queens. Queens are just gonna call a lot, right? They're gonna hate it, but they're just gonna call.
Looks like 400.
Very callable. And Aaron insta calls, of course.
So,
And he shows Dan.
Wow. Oh, yes. Wow.
400.
oh, yeah.
Why can't I get the 2 outer? One time.
I had it.
At least the 10 came.
Oh, man.
I think Dan missed out on the full double there by not 4-betting pre-flop.
Probably they get it in on the flop a lot if he 4-bets pre.
Or even if he check raises the flop.
Quite possibly. Gets it in by the river. Also, he let Carter in, which ended up being fine, but dangerous, really dangerous.
Yeah.
Carter, that 10-7-7 board, Carter absolutely can have 7s there.
Yep.
And 2 10s and all sorts of things you can just knock out.
A digital thing.
The kings, when somebody's got queens, they get the
I like what Joseph just said. He said, how'd you do it? It's a digital thing. It's kind of cool. It's a good slogan for Dan.
I mean, it happens. It just happens in this game.
Call. Button call.
Ken getting a little squirrely with the king 7 suited on the button here.
Just a little squirrely. At least he's on the button. He's like, I'm the all-time winner in this game. I can do whatever I want. I'll play any 2 cards and win with them because I am he who destroys things.
Okay.
With his mind.
Well, it looks like he's going to get bluffed out of the pot. Not bluffed, but
6 or higher, make it 150. Otherwise, a call.
I love it.
got
6
talked
or higher,
about
he makes it 150, he said. Well, we see one of the die is a 6, and
Yep.
there's 2 die he rolled, so it's definitely higher than a 6. It's a 150. That's Digital Dan rolling the dice to decide what he does to call or to raise. He needs bigger dice, but
we
I gotta
can't see
love it.
They're not good for TV, those dice.
I told him that. I honestly told him that. I was like, you got to get bigger dice. He did not seem to care. But you know what, Dan? I bet you care now.
How do we know they're not loaded?
Now NPH is never retweeting that thing.
Whoa, Lee Bowley!
Okay.
He always wins!
So this is squirrely, right? You can admit that this is a squirrely call.
This has some qualities of squirrels. I'll say that. Wow.
Well, he flops a 7, but it's not a good board for king 7 against the 3-better's range.
No, it's really not.
Oh, really?
It's really not. You do block, ace king with your king 7.
Sweet.
Dan is going to bet.
I think Ken should fold.
What, is that 175?
Yeah. I don't care that he flopped a 7. I think he should fold.
I agree. It's not the end of the world to call once and see what Dan does on the turn. That's because of the ace.
Hope that Dan has what?
Hope that Dan has kings or jacks or
And
10s
then
or
you
something.
turn your hand into a bluff.
And then you're stealing. Yeah, you're basically floating with a little bit of equity where you can hit, in your mind, a 7 or a king. Turns out you can only hit a 7, but you don't know that.
I don't think you can.
You're hoping Dan gives up. That's the only reason to not fold.
How much money could Ken be up in this game if he didn't do stuff like that?
I mean, I hear you, but remember that ace-jack call on the flop?
Yeah,
So he's
that's
up
right.
more because he called there, not less.
Okay.
I would say overall, Ken is the big winner in Poker Time history, and a lot of it is because he does stuff like that thus far. Now, I think over time it's not going to work
It might
out.
hurt a little bit over time.
But the long run hasn't happened yet, clearly, or we're just wrong about the long run. It's one of those
And
two.
you're supposed to call king 7 twice pre-flop there, yeah. I guess that is the other option.
Who knows what they're going to be doing in 2030 in
Yeah.
poker? Like, we thought we were so smart in 2010. Guess what? We were all dummies. We're going to be dummies. We're going to see ourselves as dummies again.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair point.
Like, you can't fold king 7 there on the button. It's like such an obvious call. It's suited even. That's
And
maybe
you
they'll
block
say it that way.
you block 7-6, which is important in the year 2030.
Well,
what happens
Brian was
until-
here earlier, so I couldn't really. See. No, he's gonna charge me for all this.
Oh, you meant earlier at this table. No, you didn't do it then.
Look at LA cleaning up his little area. That's nice.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
See, now LA's got kind of a cool shirt. It's got the red stripes on it.
It's a Blazer shirt.
Yeah.
What about it?
It's just it's like most of the wardrobe decisions I think this time were done hastily, but not LA. LA like chose something
You
that's
think
like
that was
dynamic.
hasty what Stewart did? I think Stewart deliberately chose to wear that
I
because he
mean-
wanted you to have stuff to talk about.
Well, then he's done a great job. Then it was very calculating. You think Digital Dan took his time with that too? That
No, I
shirt?
think Digital Dan made a big mistake.
Put a call for $50 more.
Small blind calls. Big blind folds.
For some reason, this table's favorite hand is 4 deuce, and so Joseph's playing it. Let's
Well-
see if he makes a move with it because it feels like every time anyone has 4 deuce, they decide
He
to
called.
make a move.
He already called.
No, I know. I mean post flop.
It is Digital Dan's actual favorite hand that might influence other people to play it more frequently.
Isn't it Batiste's favorite hand as well?
I think it might be, yeah.
Well, it's going to be hard to make a huge move because Wheels got top 2.
And Dan has top pair. He shouldn't lose too much in this hand, but he could lose at least one bet.
You know, he calls once, hits a diamond on the turn or a 7 on the turn, or an ace, I suppose. Could get a little ugly.
Wheel checks the ace-jack.
Huh. I mean, Dan should be betting here. 200 in the pot.
Yeah, you got to
There's a lot of bad cards. Can't let the whole world see a card for free.
But pretty much when you get called, it's either a draw or you're losing. Most
Is
of the
Wheel
time.
going to just call?
Well, called or raised.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I like Wheel. Not. I actually really prefer a bet from Wheel than a check raise here, but I'm worried about blowing people off hands. LA's got the gutter, and he's not folding yet. It's a little too pricey, LA. Too much money, out of position. Does LA care? He may not care.
He's having to think.
I will say he is drawing to the nuts.
Is there any number that
3 outs to the nuts, yeah.
Yep.
could have liked it?
That's got to be what he's thinking. He's going to use up one of those.
I think he said fold.
Yeah, he did.
All right, so
Back
is
to
Wheel going to raise or call here?
I think you should raise. I like raise better than a call.
It looks really strong. Like
Oh, yeah. It looks really strong.
the only things he has when he raises here are combo draws and 2 pair plus, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't call flop.
I think that's right.
So he's
that's
got
right.
like the 9, 10 of spades, etc.
King, queen of spades, king, 10 of spades.
Yeah, queen 10, all those, which are all very strong hands on this board. Or ace jack, pocket eights, jacks, ace 8, hands like that. And Dan is doing very poorly against that range.
Oh, so bad. He's 50% against the bad part of the range and
Yeah.
crushed by the good part. I guess jack 8, he's not doing great against that either.
It's not good.
It's all bad.
Unless Wheel is losing his mind with 4 or 5 of spades or something.
Yep.
And Dan decides, I guess, Wheel is losing. I mean, he saw Wheel lose his mind with the jack 10, and maybe
true.
that is playing into this.
But Dan only has ace 7.
True.
So if Will were to have a hand like ace 10, that would be a problem.
This is such a clean, beautiful card for Wheel.
Yeah, Will happy to roll with this. No matter how many chips Dan wants to put on the turn, I can't imagine.
Don't
Will
you
would
love it
ever-
on those wet boards
Oh.
when you put in the aggressive action? You're like, just give me just a blank, and this is the blankiest blank here.
It's really hard. I mean,
Like the 9 of spades could come and your life is over, or the 3 of
truly
clubs could-
over.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do love these kinds of cards. You call for it in your head, and then it comes, and it's easy. All right, so Dan is in this spot where Wheel is polarized to all the values better, and as we were saying, the bluffs are pretty much spades. I guess once in a while 9, 10, but usually it's the combo draws. Usually. Dan's trying to decide what to do. He does have position, which helps a tiny bit, but not too much in this spot.
I really think that jack 10 hand is looming in Dan's head.
By the way, Wheel bet huge. He bet
Yeah.
725. He's trying to charge Dan's draws. He's only got 840 back.
It's not
Dan-
huge. I mean, it's like 70% of pot. It's pretty.
I guess I mean huge relative to his stack. You're right. It's not huge relative to the pot. Dan's got to decide right now what he's doing on the river. Like if he's gonna call here, I don't think he can reasonably call here fold brick rivers. So he's got to know that he's calling brick rivers if he decides to call.
He's really taking his time with this one.
Feels like this is a fold though. It's
I mean,
one of
okay,
those
so he's
annoying
thinking, what are
folds.
the bluff combos? There's king, queen of spades, king 10 of spades, queen 10 of spades, queen 9 of spades,
9, 10 of spades,
9, 10 of spades, and jack
7, 10 of spades,
7, 10 of spades. Yeah, that's a decent amount.
8x of spades? Could there be 8x?
Maybe
of
there could
spades?
be 8x of
well,
spades.
that's a good. That's the best combos to be up against for Dan.
Yeah, I
Well-
just don't know if Wheel's gonna play those hands this way.
Yeah, I don't know either. He could very reasonably just call it, but some people will play those hands fast. Dan throws it away. Nice job, Digital
Yeah,
One.
good fold. Wheel shows the jack as if to say, "I'm bluffing with a jack."
Dan nods his head. Yeah, he says that's the one I wanted to see, and yes, it was Dan. Dan understands that means he's fine.
What do you think that show is supposed to accomplish by Wheel?
Well, Will doesn't want to show him the ace, so he's trying to show him that he's weaker than an ace.
So he's check raising queen jack on that board,
I don't know.
showing
man.
him that he's like
There's
has no idea what he's doing.
It doesn't actually accomplish anything, but I think he wants to show something and realize the ace is the worst one to show. So
Yeah.
he's taking the lesser of two evils. As you saw, Dan said that's the one I wanted to see.
Yeah, no, I didn't have that.
Dan probably thinks Wheel had a set of jacks.
Well, it's Jack, Jack, Ace, Jack, Jack 8, right?
Yeah.
That's it, and it's all fine.
I only have one card. It didn't fly.
Wheel feeling good after that hand.
Yep.
Limp the hijack with king 5 suited.
Joseph with the king 4 off looks like is gonna make him pay.
Did he
Wait.
min raise? No, he
Oh,
made a
okay.
45.
Yeah, there's a green chip in there. Aaron's gonna call though. It doesn't say so because
With the
Jackson
4
Longo
deuce
works
suited.
here.
It's
Told
once
ya.
again.
Everyone loves those 4 deuces. Is Wheel gonna fold out diamonds here? And now Aaron's got diamonds all to himself. That's amazing. Amazing.
Wheel just decided to give $10 back.
Yeah. But not to Dan. To the collective.
Pretty good flop for Aaron. He's got the gut shot with the deuce. Joseph just the gut shot.
Joseph now reverse dominated. Aaron with the backdoor diamonds as well. Joseph doesn't have to bet here, but it's totally reasonable to, especially with the gutter. I like betting.
Yeah, and Aaron's got a bunch of like 9-10 type hands that are just going to fold.
Absolutely.
That's a happy outcome.
That is not a great card for Joseph. Way better for Aaron's range.
Yeah, Aaron has way more 5s, you would think.
Aaron looks like he's going to lead. I like this lead. It's a little weird because he actually has something.
Yeah, it is weird because if Joseph has 8s or 9s, he can't fold yet.
But the thing is, Joseph's checking back all his big overs and getting free shots, and Aaron doesn't have to allow him to do that. Like, instead of letting Joseph sort of get what he wants, Aaron gets to deny.
That's
that,
true, but it's kind of weird to rep a 5 when you have showdown value.
I agree. I agree.
Hold the cards. Just like no matter what. Everybody slow rolls everybody, which is like the best part.
But generally, it's not a horrible idea in general. Kind of blind to your own hand as the out of position player if the middle card pairs to lead the turn.
Absolutely.
In a heads up pot. Because
Absolutely.
that's supposed to be all over your range.
Especially when you're in the small blind and it's
Yeah.
a baby middle card, like
I
a
think he was
5.
a big blind, wasn't he? But
Yeah, you're
whatever,
right.
Same thing.
Even more so.
Yeah.
I actually meant big blind. I just said small blind because today I don't speak well, and that's okay.
That's okay. It's just your job.
Not speaking
Looks
well,
like
so I'm
Jack-
doing a great job.
Looks like Jackson's not the only one failing at his job today.
That was an 8 enough back.
I know, right?
It's not enough back.
Raise, shoot 30.
He was like
Ace 8 suited for wheel.
goal or something too, and I'm like, oh man.
Joseph's just decided to be active, it looks like.
Yeah.
Button folds. Small button.
Calling with a 10-8 off for,
Well, it's not going to work out. He's probably
Probably.
just going to be folding pre-flop
probably.
unless he goes nuts.
So $100 out there. Stuart is going to claim it.
He might get called by action Aaron, but Aaron's in a pretty bad spot here in the small blind against Stuart.
I would expect Aaron's not going to call here.
I don't think Wheel can call profitably here with Ace 8 suited.
Maybe not profitably, but can he call?
He can. You can do whatever you want.
He's not going to. No way Joseph can. Joseph just feels the sting of losing $30 for no real reason. And Aaron gets away as well.
That's
Anderson.
such a crappy spot with Ace Jack off in the small blind. You're just like,
Yeah.
I can't fold this just to the initial open, but continuing here is just going to hurt so bad so many times.
Yep.
Just because he wants right now, he's folding to all raises. Doesn't matter who it is.
By the way, you can fold it to the initial open. Certain openers you can fold it.
Okay,
to.
sure, but
I mean, a lot of people will play that as a re-raise instead of a call because it's so hard to play.
Yeah,
that
that's
hand
a reasonable thing to
from
do.
From the blind. Even though the continuing range against your re-raise ain't great, still people will often prefer to
I get
re-raise
it.
it there.
I get it. King Queen for the king of killing people, Ken.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is. No one would say that about Ken except you.
The Destroyer of Worlds. Do you think there aren't people on those worlds?
I don't know. You don't think there are worlds without people? Look around the solar
Do you
system,
think
bro.
that the
Oh, there's
spirit-
so many people on Mars.
Okay, so the spirit of Destroyer of Worlds obviously includes the civilizations on the worlds. You think Ken's just doing target practice and big rocks out there? Nobody cares. You don't get a nickname doing that. Nobody even knows about it.
Excuse me. If a dude blew up Mars, you don't think people would be
Oh,
like,
you think there's no people on Mars?
No, you
Wow, how naive are you?
you think someone would be like, oh my God, that's the guy who blew up Mars. Give him a little bit more space, you know? Give him the seat. Give him the seat, Jimmy. He blew up Mars. Come on. Blowing up any planet gets you huge props and gravitas wherever you go, and that's just the truth.
But not as much as if you destroy families and societies and such.
You can do that without going anywhere.
what does that mean?
You don't have to destroy a world to destroy a family. Wow, that was really deep.
You just have to.
Careful.
What do you want
Careful.
to do? What do you want to do? Let's plan out the next family destruction.
All right, well, I mean, have you ever destroyed a family? Whoa, Ken's 3-betting.
No, I don't think I have.
Digital Dan 3-bet. Actually, Ken's calling. Sorry. Ken opened. Digital Dan 3-bet.
Yeah,
Ken
sorry,
called
we
with the
got
king
a
queen.
little bit involved. There.
Really caught up in that joke. Sorry.
We have the same stack and the same hand here between these players.
and no one loves that. Should be a small continue for Dan, and it's going to be super hard for Ken to do anything unless he decides to make a move, and a move will work, of course. Basically, it's a who wants it more spot. Digital Dan should be taking a shot here. He's got the ace-kings more so than...
Now, the thing that's not crazy about Ken potentially making a move here is that he should have more aces in his range than Dan.
Ken does make a move.
However, would he check raise those aces?
Exactly. He's not check raising any of them except the ace-kings of the world, right?
Right. What I mean is, I don't think Dan has too many ace-10s and hands like that, and Ken does have those hands.
He does. He's just not check raising.
So I think it plays better as a check call if you want to bluff later.
I mean, what's the story Ken's telling? He's really telling pocket sevens and ace-7 suited. That's the story.
Yeah.
Now, I think he thinks he's telling the I've got ace-10 story, but he's not.
Right. And Dan,
maybe I'm wrong. I don't believe he's check raising ace-10.
Maybe Ken would check raise ace-10.
Yeah, maybe he would. And if that's true, then he is telling that story. I don't know if he actually would in practice. I guess I wouldn't, so I assume he wouldn't either. Maybe I'm wrong. Seems crazy for him to check raise ace-10, though.
We don't
see him doing crazy things like that.
There's not a ton of value in that. Maybe you get, because it's such a suspicious story, you get called by kings and queens sometimes.
Maybe sometimes Dan has, and he really never shows up with these hands, but suited ace wheels that feel like they just have to call on trip ace.
Not when Ken opens under the gun.
Right. I agree. Dan doesn't 3-bet, 4-bet with those hands anyway, even at other spots, let alone against under the gun ranges.
Running over the table.
He said I missed the bluff.
So, but since it was a bluff, it sort of didn't matter since Dan didn't have it, you know?
Goes to 35.
Joseph continues to get in there.
Suited this time.
You were, Chuck. 35.
Are you mumbling to yourself?
LA does call.
And once again, we see the 4 deuce show up. What is with this? Why so many? Everybody's got 4 deuce all the time.
It's just pattern recognition, bro.
I mean, that's okay.
What a flop for Joseph.
That's a very good flop for Joseph.
Ken with bottom pair, and that is all. Joseph really.
This game is set up so well.
You know, you open with the king 3 of diamonds plus 2, and very few good things can happen, but a good thing happened.
This is a good thing.
Make sure to get this hand.
LA. See, now this is what I'm talking about with LA.
LA needs a little camera
Hold
time.
your breath, everybody. Try not to die.
There's really no reason for this.
Unless he makes a move. But he's not making a move. He just takes a long time to fold. I love this kid, but man, does he take a long time to fold.
Ken making the call with bottom pair.
It's not completely crazy.
No, let's see another card. Not a good one for the 4 deuce.
This is often going to go check. Joseph could definitely bet to keep building a pot in case he improves. And also to charge diamonds and things like that in the straight draws. And whatever.
I mean, he doesn't really
any
mind,
other equity Ken
He doesn't really
has.
mind diamonds that much unless they're nut diamonds. Obviously.
True, but you know, you build a bigger pot when you get there.
You know, like the worst player at the table is better than the best player was back then.
Yeah, I gotta let it go now.
Yeah. Good job, Ken.
And that was it. That was
That's just all you
I
needed.
knew, you know,
Yeah.
and like as soon as ace that limped in, but I always, bet the flop.
Joseph rockets up to 3.2K in his stack.
Rockets.
Like Elton John.
The Rocket Man?
Exactly.
Cool.
You know, there's an Elton John movie coming out.
Is it called Rocket Man?
It actually is called Rocket Man. You know who's starring in it?
Elton John.
He probably is in it, but not as the star.
Denzel Washington.
Here's the cumulative winnings. It's not Denzel either. Wheel at the bottom, Ken on the top. Ken's always on the top. It doesn't matter what cards he plays or how he plays them, it seems. He always wins.
And Digital Dan has jacks, as we can see in the bottom left there.
By the way, it probably does matter, of course, what cards he plays and how he plays them. But it just feels inevitable.
It does.
Folds.
Moose passes.
Oh, bad news for Stewart.
Yeah.
Just going to call. That might save him some money down the line.
Gives him a great chance not to lose a lot.
Yeah.
If I was a different world. I mean,
There are some flops where Stewart loses very little or wins, obviously.
Mm-hmm. But he's also now aware he's underrepped his hand, so on, over where they're both over pairs, he could lose 3 streets sometimes. This is
a spot where he could lose 3 streets.
This is not too different than having 5-4 deuce kind of a flop.
No, it's very similar.
Of course, Dan is likely to have an ace in his hand comparatively to that other stuff.
But it's hard to have an ace when there's 3 out there.
It is, but Dan's opening range is going to have some aces in it, of course.
Yeah.
Stewart never folding yet.
Would Dan have the chutzpah to c-bet the quads? It's tough to do.
I don't know.
Quad's got that.
I mean, if you have the nuts, I should probably check.
Do we have bad beat, Jack?
Looks like Stuart's not going to lose too much here.
Probably not. So if you're Dan, it's a reasonable time to bet.
Try to get called by eights, basically.
Yeah, like small to medium pocket pairs, like a king queen that's like, I don't know what to do.
You're
Take
called
a
by
shot.
tens, nines, eights.
Well, yeah. Dan checks again. I don't know what he's hoping Stuart's going to bet here. Stuart has maybe a hand that could bet, but there's very few of them.
I don't know if Stuart should bet. What's he going to try to get called by?
I mean, it looks like when Dan decides to suddenly check the turn, Dan could have a 9. That's the one thing. You could have like, although of course we block 9-10, so it's like 9-8, 9-7 suited, stuff like that.
More like pocket eights, and Dan could have pocket nines, which is losing the pocket tens.
Yeah. Wouldn't you think as Stuart, like Dan just betting queens plus? I would. And then probably betting jacks because he's betting queens plus. Stuart's not really supposed to have any of those hands.
I wish you would have bet like
It's tough to get
500
called
more.
by worse.
Well, Dan can't fold there.
No. Dan sort of chides Stuart a little bit when he says it's tough to get called by worse.
Yeah. He's right.
Damn.
He's right.
It's tough, but I don't know if it's a bad bet all the same.
I don't know
It's
either.
still okay.
It's a weird spot.
It's really weird that Dan checked again on the river. It's not like
yeah.
it looks like Stuart's sort of free rolling a call there.
Yeah.
He value owned himself just barely. That's fine. That's
I
gonna
do it
happen.
all the time.
It's gonna happen.
I do it all the time.
You know what else you do all the time?
Really cool stuff.
Heroin. Is that really cool?
I don't do that. That's a weird thing to say. Joseph's going to limp ace king. Thanks for just randomly saying I do heroin all the time.
It's weird that you were so defensive about it, and like, methinks he doth protest a bit too much there, huh? Like,
First
what
of all,
the hell, bro?
First of all, even if I did heroin all the time, shaming an addict is not a good look.
How am I shaming you?
Oh, yeah, that was not shaming.
Get to the hand. Action Aaron with a pair. Joseph with top, and that's all. Checks through. Joseph does not bet.
Dan has a pair now.
Everyone's got a little bit of equity. Joseph can't wait any longer.
Aaron, as this has played out, probably has to call at least once.
It seems crazy to just throw your hand away right now. If you're Action Aaron. You don't call King 10 off +2 and then fold when it checks through on the flop, I think.
Well, I believe Aaron raised king 10 +2 because Joseph limped.
Well, but still my point remains. Although it is more of a problem, actually. Joseph now can have some aces.
Yeah.
But Joseph can have lots of things. Joseph can have the queen jack, and he can have a 10, he can have a 9. If Joseph had a 10, he would definitely.
Well, it looks like Dan's going to overcall with a 9 here.
Whoa. That's weird.
It would be really cool to see a check raise from... Oh, Aaron makes trips here on the river.
He sure does. Joseph really can't bet, I don't think.
No, not on this card.
Looks like Action Aaron's going to have a great chance to get some value out of Joseph here.
I would deposit every single night.
Joseph could kind of blocker bet, I guess.
He looks like he's betting, and so the pot's 350. Is that over $200?
Looks like
that's
it.
not a blocker bet. That's a value bet.
Yeah.
That's just straight up value. Aaron obviously never folding, but I'm sure a raise would not get him any more value.
That's what he's wondering about.
I think he's supposed to just call. Joseph can have 9-10 and ace-10.
It was like 9 a.m., so it's like, yeah.
And the bet is sizable.
Yep.
And again, if he raises, even ace-king, I think is just folding almost always. So
he does just call.
I like it. Joseph shows and sees the bad news. He gave it the look.
That was like a Batiste face.
It sort of was.
I'm thinking of folding, were you?
Just trying to decide whether I wanted to see if Dan would call too, or if I wanted to raise.
You say Dan.
And if he would call. And if he shipped over that, I was still calling.
That makes sense.
I think Aaron made the right choice there, just calling.
Yep.
Joseph may have considered a call with ace-king, but probably would have ended up folding.
I think he would have at
Aaron
least
raised.
tanked having seen Joseph play, but I think he would have ultimately folded.
You mean Aaron?
Yeah. Just, that's why you're here, buddy.
You'll get it someday.
We need somebody to do something. Look, someone has to do the heroin. And the guy who does the heroin, as we've already worked out, is the guy who also corrects the dude.
Yeah,
who's
that makes
misspeaking.
total sense. The guy who does the heroin is the guy who has to like have his shit together. The other guy just goes off on random tangents.
You know, I'm not good at speaking, and you're good at doing drugs. We both have our strengths and weaknesses.
Seriously, the addict shaming is not a good
I
look.
have not yet shamed you. I'm saying it's an important, plays an important role in poker time.
Whatever. I don't think you understand how
It's your
society works.
it's your
these days,
filters,
but-
buddy. Your filters are the things that are you're shaming yourself.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
If anybody's ever offended by anything Jonathan says, it's their fault. Anyway, LA has top pair. Ken is called with king queen because Ken always does stuff like that.
I mean, Ken's obviously going to win.
It's going to be hard on this card to get LA to fold.
I mean, he could have
He
bet.
goes-
There's 4 to a
Just
straight
goes
out there.
check. So Ken called with king queen just to hit, I guess.
Well, if it checks again,
Well, LA made a straight. He bets as if he's on heroin.
really, that's how people with heroin bet.
Did you see how he dropped those cards?
Have you spent a
I
lot-
should know, right?
I mean, if you're actually on heroin, how would you know what the bets are like? Aren't you too caught up in your own crazy world?
I have seen replays.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Thank you, Ken. I just needed one-handed action.
Nothing's really changed too much on this board.
That was an awesome one.
Some small winners, one big winner so far. Still got some time left, though, in this session. About another half hour or so. Fortunes can be made and broken in these last 30 minutes. Hopefully someone maybe will change their shirt, too. I don't know. Digital Dan, I'm talking to you, in case that wasn't clear.
What about Stuart?
It's not a shirt. It's a hoodie.
It's a type of shirt.
I guess to your drug-addled eyes.
Wow,
Your heroin-fueled fashion
you're
sense.
actually probably offending a lot of people. I don't think
you
you
were
realize.
so worried about offending people. Now you're worried about offending. Let me just be clear. It's not heroin addicts. It's people who are sensitive to heroin addicts being shamed.
I mean, this is genuinely true. Do you understand how many people have been affected by the opioid crisis in America? Like, you're in trouble right now, buddy.
Our heroin.
You're
is,
making
is
a
heroin,
bad. You're
is
making
heroin
a,
opioid? Is it an opioid?
Wow, how stupid are you?
I'm asking.
You're making a genuinely bad choice.
Who's shaming now? By the way,
I'm shaming you for being stupid. It's different.
It's worse, bro. Anyway, we have a hand.
Not much of one. As Joseph has 8s and Carter has a deuce. And Joseph makes a set, but I don't think he's going to get paid. Looks like he just checked.
Yeah.
Hoping that Carter was going to bet.
Same.
There it is.
How does Bear make more?
Can we call service over here?
Well, I think that
I don't know if we can have in the ocean over here.
No value for Joseph's set, but got some value out of deuce 3 at all. That's nice, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, there's $160 in that pot. That's pretty good.
Here we see the V pips, and we don't have as wide of a gulf as sometimes we do. Sometimes
Not
we
at
have like
all.
a 4%er and a 70%er, but
This
a little
is-
closer together this time.
This is like reasonable game V-pipping action instead of craziness. It's all a little high probably, but reasonable.
Yeah.
We never get reasonable in this show. There's almost always someone, at or over 50%. And often multiple people. Oh, he's going to V-pip this one.
Makes sense.
By the way, V-pip is, of course, voluntary put in play, meaning putting chips in play. You chose to do it.
Yeah, you weren't in the blind and checked.
Yep. Carter's got aces.
Looks like he just called. No, he 3-bet. Okay, just a really fast call, like 3-bet. LA did not fold, despite what Jackson put on the thing.
And he's not going to fold. Carter 3-bet to, is that 200?
Yeah.
Well, how much did LA make it?
He made it 60.
Oh, he did. Okay. That's completely reasonable. LA kind of forced a call now.
Yeah. Is he considering a 4-bet?
Can you call service?
Yeah.
I call.
In the middle of his tank, decides to get another shot.
So this is a nice opportunity for Carter to make some bank.
Yeah, if the flop comes out well, Carter could make a lot of money here. It did not come out well.
Oh, that's the opposite of
That
well.
is not an opportunity for Carter to make some bank. This is a massive opportunity for LA to make some bank.
If LA plays this fast,
there's a lot
It's
of
a wet
draws out
board.
there. Yeah.
King, queen, queen 10, hearts.
Carter betting looks like 250. LA loving life.
LA could call. He could raise.
How much do you love this spot as LA? It's
Love
so,
it so
good.
much. Carter 3-bet out of the small blind. He is going to have a fair amount of overpairs here.
He's going to have some flush draws too.
Sure.
10 seconds.
I was going to use a time bank card.
30 seconds.
In what world does he have more time cards than me? So weird.
Dan, ain't nobody asking you.
Yeah, he's used to 2 for sure. I know I guess. Oh, more than you.
You have one.
I have 1. That's all.
I thought you used them.
I'll get a. What are you getting?
He hasn't really been.
Patron.
Carter is buying a drink. Oh, LA saying it's on him.
LA and
That's
Carter.
a tell, Carter.
LA and Carter just bought shots together during this hand. That's kind of incredible.
Want to run it for 500?
I got like 0 chance after the next one.
750.
There's a 750.
Don't underestimate yourself.
All right, LA makes it 750. Did Carter just move in?
Yeah,
he
he just
did.
moves in and gets called right away.
Totally reasonable to move in there. Doesn't love the snap call.
No, it's really bad. You can beat a few things maybe, but not much.
Against the snap call, you can beat like Queen 10 of Hearts.
Kings, slow play kings.
And
runs
that
out
is
clean.
a big old pot for LA.
Yes,
Over
indeed.
$4,000 in the pot, and that shot of Patron is going to taste a little better for LA than it does for Carter.
It says Carter's eliminated. I don't believe he's actually going to leave.
Yeah, we don't know how
he
to
just-
remove that from the
that
software.
that just means he's been felted.
Yeah, he's got $0 left.
We're not gonna like kill him or anything. He gets to stay
Well,
alive.
that's Ken's job.
No, Ken's job is to go after barren wastelands and take them out. Totally different. Anyway, they're counting it up here.
Do you think Carter could have played the flop differently there? Do you think he could have just called?
He could have, but they're getting it in on the turn anyway. And I think
There's some death cards that I guess you
Yeah.
could fold on. As
very few.
Yeah. 10 of hearts or cards like that maybe.
But yeah, the other side of it is then you don't get it all every time. You know,
Yeah.
you may fold them out you may fold them out when a brick comes in. Are you check calling all in, or are you just betting yourself? Because you don't want to go check.
Yeah. It's
It's
a
fine to
spot.
get it in.
Yeah, I think getting it in is correct. And not to say that that's true on every board in that spot. Like if it's like a 7-7-4 board, it's probably not a board to get it in, right? But like a Jack 9-4 2 heart board, it's a board where LA has a lot of draws and has a lot of hands that he's trying to protect against draws.
And of course, against certain opponents, you can really get it in. Of course, on a 7-7-4 board too. There's some opponents who are going to easily stack off with worse overpairs.
Okay, let's give a better example.
Yeah.
If you have aces on like a King Jack 9 board,
Yeah.
you definitely don't want to stack off on that board.
Definitely not.
That's how long it'll take you to lose your stack.
Well,
right?
no, he said he doesn't know.
Like, you can check call and hope they have king queen or something, but
Yeah.
Whatever it was before.
What a good feeling is LA just stacking mountains of chips. And he's up 1,000 now. I guess he was down pretty decent amount before that.
yeah, he was the second biggest loser.
Oh, okay.
It's nice to get out of the
Not
hole.
anymore. Of course, on TV, the biggest loser is really the biggest winner. But on YouTube, it's not that way. YouTube, biggest loser is just biggest loser. LA just getting pushed. That is not a bet, by the way, from LA. That is the chips got pushed to him. To be clear, that'd be a pretty big.
He's gonna make a bet though.
That'd be a
'cause
pretty big open.
he does open big though.
He really does. That's a huge open.
He opens to 60 there
I
again.
guess he did before with jacks too. It
Yeah.
worked last time.
Because his opponent had aces and he flopped a set. Yeah, that's. I don't think the sizing is what made it work.
You don't know what made it work. Chaos theory, man. Stuart just can't fold.
I mean, the cards were already dealt at the time that he chose.
Chaos theory, bro. You don't know how things change.
The
Also,
cards change. The cards
our
change
dealer
after they're
Josh
dealt.
may have been, No, I'm just kidding about that, obviously. LA bets 5. He will do this
He
sometimes.
bet 10 really, but
But the min bet. He likes
Yeah.
to min bet.
So what we're doing right now.
I mean, as Stuart, you have to call.
Of course. Stuart could raise as well, but he's going to call. Certainly can't fold.
17 black chips.
No, I was just letting you know, guys were talking about it.
It's another brick. LA checks it back. LA.
No, he hasn't checked yet.
Oh, I thought I heard him say check. My mistake.
You want me to take it on the turn or on the river?
50-50.
Oh, he checks it back. So Stuart could have the best hand. He doesn't, but he really could. That's a bad card for both players.
Not much you can do as Stuart to try to win this hand.
I mean, you could bet.
It would be kind of weird too, though.
Ace queen.
Ace king.
That was a smaller pot than the last one, but
Max value.
Hang yourself.
That's the analysis that you get paid for. There you go. You got one right. That was smaller than the last one.
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Got to acknowledge when you do it right.
I agree. Celebration is a big part of positive reinforcement. Carter now the big loser.
Yeah.
There's Wheel, who's right behind him. Everyone else is pretty close to even or doing well. Stuart just hanging around the break-even point.
I mean, he's got a huge expected value for sponsorship now that he's wearing that thing on TV.
Yeah.
So that's really what
We can't name the brand, of course.
It's like it's like trying to be back in the day, trying to be Supernova Elite on Poker Stars. You just want to break even, get all the benefits. You know, that's what
True.
Stuart's doing with the hoodie thing.
Raise to 30.
That was whenever I did my Supernova Elite calculations, I actually was assuming break even, just trying to figure out what's the actual value of the SNE. And it was a lot. It was pretty significant value. Of course, then they just stole it from everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't do it.
I feel like somebody's gonna win.
Somebody's gonna win, but don't.
We got a gut shot for Joseph.
That's it. He's
Nothing
gonna,
for Action Aaron. That's LA and Ken.
That's Action Aaron.
There he is.
And Stuart and Carter.
Sad Carter.
Action Aaron maybe gonna float.
All right, this is cool.
The 4 pairs, and Joseph could be giving up on this card, but won't.
He's continuing here, and Aaron's probably going to give up on his plan. The 4 might have been a card that he was going to make a play on.
I think he was making a play on any check by Joseph pretty much.
The 4 would have been a good card to make a play on.
Absolutely. 4 or a 9 seem really good.
I raise.
And then if I check, I can't call, right? So
That's not mine. Oh, that's mine. Yeah.
I was trying to have it be UI and LA. He folded his blind for.
Joseph was trying to manipulate who was in the pot.
It's not about me. It's just, you know,
How does he do that, though?
pretty good price.
The way he looks at people, you know, he's like,
I'm just gonna wait for.
he gives you the fold stare down, you better fold.
You know how I do.
Generally a solid spot.
Generally a good.
I mean, that's going to make poker pretty easy if he can give you the fold, stare down, and have it work.
Yeah. He's very successful. Dan's going to limp the 7-8 suited.
Carter's going to limp behind. No,
No,
he's
he's gonna
not.
raise.
He's going to raise.
His raises look like limps because they're so casual.
And they're also like off camera.
Yeah.
Like the chips always go off camera. So unless you catch the color of the chips as they're flying by, you can only really see the number. It looked like 2 chips. It was, but it was the wrong color.
I think Dan's got to call this.
100%. Hopefully Dan will get a chance to roll the dice at some point.
Or maybe he'll buy bigger dice and then roll the dice.
At some point. Digital Dan with the gutter.
Carter with the backdoor 10 high flush draw, of course. Everybody was thinking about that.
Carter just checks it right back. And Carter now turns open-ended.
Dan could bet, but the queen is not a great card for him, so Carter's going to rep the queen, and that makes a lot of sense. Along with his open-ender, I don't think Dan can continue.
No. I don't see how Dan can keep going here. Wrong suit for his 8-7 for continuing. Carter actually blocked both flush draws.
Which is sick.
What a quirk of the game.
What a quirk of the
A
game.
quirk of the game. It's quirk.
Okay, never heard that before.
Yeah.
Like cork? You mean
Quirk.
like cork, like the smallest
The smallest known thing.
thing? Like, yeah, what substance?
It's not. It's,
Individual particle?
I don't even know if that's. I don't know if that's correct, but sure. Where's our physicists when we need them?
Well, we fired them all for being incompetent.
Oh, maybe other physicists then. Where's competent physicists when we need them?
We don't pay for our physicists. So
No.
It's hard to get
I want
competent.
complimentary physicist-ing.
Ooh, Stewart with a bit of a loose 3-bet here. I think he believes Carter's opening too much. And maybe also tilting a little bit. He's going to run into it here with Wheel and Carter.
So we're going to put in the 4-bet here or call? Looks like a call.
Just a call. Out of position, it's going to be tough to play, but it's fine.
It's fine. I like a 3-bet, a 4-bet a whole lot more, but it is fine. All the same. And as we see, he's got these guys in relative trouble with 67% equity. But a lot of times you're just going to miss the board like that, and it's just super hard to
Stewart
win.
gets to win this pot most of the time now.
Yep. Stewart's pretty much the only guy with the big over with the aces and the kings.
Must bet spot for Stewart.
Agreed. Wheel can have, 10s and jacks and stuff, but gotta bet it. You also block jacks, which is nice.
The problem for Wheel here is if he calls and Stewart keeps going, what are you going to do?
Fold.
Yeah.
This is a problem. I mean, this is one of the problems with giving up the initiative right away, pre-flop. I mean, he never had the initiative, but not seizing it. Now, instead of winning this pot, he loses it.
Well, he might not
Well.
because he's calling in. Stewart might shut down sometimes,
Yeah.
putting wheel on an overpair that's not going to fold.
Agreed.
And
Well,
now,
Stewart picks up a little bit of equity, though.
right, but now if wheel had tens or jacks, he also picked up equity, and it's going to be a lot harder to get him to fold.
Yep. Is he going to donk it here? Or is
That
it
would
just,
be
no,
a
he's
very
doing,
strange.
He's doing the wheel.
He's doing the please don't bet thing.
Yep.
If you're playing against wheel and he does that, it mees he doesn't want you to
Well,
bet.
not once you hear this though. Now he's heard it too, so it doesn't mean anything anymore.
I've said it before. He keeps doing it. Stewart does give up.
Oh, great card. This is a
check call.
I agree.
Stewart's going to rep this a lot.
Stewart doesn't have the overpairs. He's already
Ooh,
shown that.
No, wheel, don't bet. This is a clear check call.
If Stewart has ace queen, he's gonna bet
If Stewart has queen jack, he's going to bet it.
it. Of course, but I'm saying like ace king is gonna call. Ace queen would have bet anyway.
Is Stewart thinking about raising? He's putting wheel on tens here and thinking he doesn't like that ace.
He's also thinking I can have top set, and he really can't.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
You can do.
I don't know if you were.
I don't know that it would work this time though.
I think it's a cool idea.
It is a cool idea, but it's really hard for Stewart to have a better hand than ace king, even if he raises the river. It's possible.
Yeah,
hard.
but I'm saying from
No, I know.
Stewart's perspective, I
No, I
think it's
understand.
actually a pretty good play.
I'm just thinking about like would it actually work from wheel's perspective?
Probably not.
Yeah. Even though you only have one pair, that's a spot where you could call.
But if I were Stewart with queen high there, I might pull that trigger.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Oh, really?
Of course, I like any time you bluff. Bluffing is awesome.
Yeah, bluffing is cool.
So just keep doing that, guys.
They're always going to be all you.
We'll do. I mean,
I've
whites
never
might
seen
get
LA
broken,
even look
but-
buzzed.
Oh, he got.
I mean, he says he's drinking all the time, but I mostly just see him drinking tea.
Well, after hanging with LA, it might be a wise choice.
That was a wrong choice for him.
Such a pretty hand.
Raise to 35.
Yeah, that's what I said. I ain't doing that.
Fold.
Give up.
2 sevens for Ken here.
The walking sticks.
Oh yeah, that's neat.
I believe that.
All right,
Roll
Wheel
with it.
just called last time. Now I know that he was cold calling a 3-bet last time.
Yeah, it's a very different scenario.
This is a pretty good spot to put in a 3-bet though. Wheel's not going to do it. He's going to call.
That's fine too.
Yep, it's going to bring in Digital Dan. I mean, this is a really hard hand, much like the ace-jack hand, to win from the small blind with this many players.
Yeah. Suited, it's a bit easier.
It is a little bit easier suited.
I hate this game.
Well, action Aaron flops best.
Yeah, and I think he's going to get action from Ken. At least one street. Maybe wheel too if wheel feels really defensive.
Ken has 2 players behind him. That's the only reason to fold.
But it's Ken, he doesn't fold.
Ken's
He's
raising.
actually raising. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so I don't know really what he's trying to do here.
Protect what he sees as his equity.
He could fold out 8s, 9s, or 10s here.
Yep. He's going to try and fold out like ace-jack and bad jacks, by the way. Like if the guys behind him have a jack, they're all going to fold.
True.
So that's kind of cool. They really can't continue without it.
Aaron
Yeah.
folds.
So
Whoa.
that's a pretty good deal.
That's amazing. I don't know if Ken was bluffing or not. What do you think?
I don't think he was bluffing. I think he thought he had the best hand, was trying to protect his pot. Is what I think happened.
What do you think about Aaron's fold?
I mean, I completely understand it. Although knowing Ken and how many times he raises on the flop, if you watch the show, he raises the flop so much more than almost anybody. I think than anyone else by like a factor of like 3 or 4.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you can fold top pair against Ken when he
think,
raises.
I don't think you can
on the
fold
flop.
top pair on that board against anybody who you know nothing about, even
Yeah.
because it's a Jack 3-3-2 spade board.
Yeah, I
like what
agree.
did they have?
Right.
They didn't 3-bet pre-flop, so they have quads. They have ace 3 suited, or they have a flush draw, or they have a random bluff.
Some guys will have ace-jack there and raise.
Some guys will.
Under was minus 300, by the way.
Hey, 2 ace jacks here.
Speaking of that, those are some guys with ace-jack. They're sitting right next to each other. They've got very different fashion tastes and choices right now.
All right, Ken, what's the real answer?
-1.
What?
How many times have you had the floor called on you?
Only once.
Only once.
Negative. See?
Under 2.5? Yeah.
Button folds.
There's no way.
I disagreed with.
A lot of big cards out here, and Digital Dan, I gotta believe Digital Dan is going to put in the 3-bets.
Dice time.
They told me later, you know, I think you were probably right.
And you disagreed with the dealer.
It said 7 or higher 150, I think, and it looks like a 10, so
Yep.
150 it is.
Rooting for a 4 hard.
It was a technical.
See, what are you supposed to do now as Carter when Dan does that?
Fold.
Like whether somebody had to.
Is Stuart just supposed to throw away his hand too now? It's 120 to win 250
He's
in
in-
position.
yeah, I
I don't
don't
think
know.
you can fold this, Stuart. It doesn't feel good, but I don't think you're supposed to fold. You're kind of deep.
I don't see him disagreeing with you.
If it was suited, it would be an easy call.
Simple.
All right, the dice win.
He's going to fold, and he's going to make a good fold.
Did he roll?
Dan shows him, and
Well, maybe have him.
everyone was dominated by the digital one that time. Not just of course in cards, but
No, digitally.
just in life.
Digital domination is what they call it.
Right.
Digitally.
How does that look? What does that look like?
You
Digital
can't
domination.
see it. It's digital.
You can see
It's
digital things.
intangible.
Yeah.
Digital is not the same as intangible.
No, but in this case, it is.
All right. Well, you're the computer expert.
I am.
Should we take the drink now or?
You want to?
Yeah.
You want to do some coding later?
Can you tell me something about coding that I don't know already?
jr.xrv.
Yeah. What about that?
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
Well, I don't. I do not get it.
Fold. Folds.
Huh.
That one's gonna bake some minds.
Bake some
Oh, yeah.
minds. It's a weird thing to say, bro.
Me and you, man.
Digital Dan, the proud winner of $15.
It's better than $0.
That's a really insightful point.
It's like 2 Subway sandwiches.
I mean, depending on the promotion, it could be 3. Eat fresh.
I'm
Grant.
talking about footlongs here. I'm not talking about that 6-inch bullshit.
Silvery tequila.
Ken has solidified his lead on the table
Real Patron.
up to 1.9 now
You can tell.
because he never loses any hand.
Yeah, I guess that's the case.
He's got his own apparel. I mean, the
They-
guy's got a whole thing going.
They flop top pair against you, and you raise and they fold. It's easy.
It's pretty easy. He looks like such a nice guy, but inside he's a Wolverine.
He's killed billions of people.
He's a honey badger.
Give me a break.
This is the final table of the 40K. Yeah, that's what it is.
Wheel with ace king again, and calls again.
What is happening, Wheel?
I've had a lot of ace king on this episode.
Is Joseph going to put in the 3-bet for him? No.
No, he's gonna call.
That's weird, too. It didn't occur to me he could, when he was reaching for chips, he could
Yeah,
ever
that
call
felt,
with that
felt
hand.
like not really a thing he was gonna do.
And now Wheel has to play his hand 5 ways.
He's got the only ace.
He's got the most equity, but also when he's losing, it's going to be hard to see it because everyone's going to have like weird 2 pairs and stuff.
Well, it's easy to see that he didn't flop well here.
That is true. Joseph is open-ended.
Yep, Joseph has flopped pretty well.
Aaron's got middle pair. Stuart with Stuart has overs and a back door. So does Ken. Joseph probably should just bet this.
Yeah, he's got 5 high end equity and position.
He doesn't have to worry about getting blown off the hand. He's very unlikely to.
A huge raise.
Whoa, he bets more than
Oh,
pot.
wow, that's interesting. It's like he's repping a set.
He's just like saying, everyone get the hell out.
It's gonna work.
It is absolutely going to work. I think. Wheel's thinking about it, but Wheel always thinks about it.
Wheel did call Stuart with ace king on that flop before when we didn't expect him to. This is a bit different though.
It really is. Pretty good. Joseph has the worst hand, although not the worst equity, but the worst hand. He gets to show it.
I used 2.
Yep, Wheel. That's what your decisions have wrought.
You had outs.
No.
Can we cash these in for
I had outs.
Is it $25 tonight? Is it worth a little bit?
You can try to tell them to somebody, but I'm not.
If Will had to think much longer, I was going
Ain't
to show
nobody
him
gonna
the 5. Never the 3.
Anybody want to buy?
We're approaching the end of the session here.
Well, what's the price?
About 5 or 6 minutes left.
I had
Go
ace.
45
Joseph, I had
apiece.
ace.
The masseuse is still here, man. Shit.
No.
Maybe that had a little bit to do with Joseph calling that pre-flop.
Yeah.
You're in bad shape. Because, I mean, if you don't hit an ace or a king on the turn, what are you going to do?
I'm sorry.
Joseph explained to Wheel why his fold was good. No. Joseph doesn't mention about the pre-flop play, though. I know. Ken with 2 9s.
Raise to 40.
My favorite dude. Awesome.
King 10 for Wheel. He usually folds this hand in this position, but I think it's the end of the session thing here.
Well, I will say this. His calling range is pretty well protected.
Yep.
Although I don't know if everyone knows he's had these big hands. He said he had ace-king,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean it's true.
A lot of people lie about their hands.
I would never believe
That's
him
for
if
sure.
he said that. I would absolutely think he was lying. But relatively reasonable hands here, though. Certainly Carter and Stewart.
Didn't crack your aces.
And big flop for Stuart.
Yep. I don't think he's going to get too much action, though. Ken's probably going to c-bet, knowing Ken.
And you are correct, it looks like.
I marked them. I know which ones are mine.
16 to 165. Kind of a weak bet, but
I think Stuart should probably just call here in general against Ken's range. Although Ken does get pretty stubborn.
he does. Stuart is going to call. The problem, of course, is it's so hard to get a bet out of Ken on the turn.
Well, if Ken had an overpair, he could get
He
a
might
bet.
bet, yeah.
Check, check, and Stuart's just going to hope for value on the river here, I guess.
Ken had overpair. Stuart could check raise, though, too.
Jack on the river. That is not a good card for Stuart or Ken.
Yep, no one likes... Oh, Ken, I was already losing to
Yeah,
a Jack, actually.
doesn't
That's a
really
bet.
matter.
That is a good card for Ken.
Yeah, it's a fine card for Ken.
Stuart does not go for value. I'm surprised he didn't bet that. I think he's supposed to bet that.
He's gonna love you tonight.
Action Aaron is back.
Ken is totally the kind of guy who's going to call with ace high there sometimes.
Come on.
I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Ken is capable of bluff raising that river, I will say. And maybe Stuart didn't want to get blown off the hand.
Maybe just bet call if you're Stuart,
Yeah.
if you know that.
Yeah.
I'm about to check the IP address on that Ainsley Harry.
You bet hate your life and call in between the moment he raises and before you call, you can hate your life.
Yeah, yeah. In that one moment, you could be like, this is what it's like when things are bad.
Yeah.
I now understand what the bad times are like. I can use this as motivation for when things feel good.
In that TV show Breaking Bad, I now get it. The bad.
Yeah. I
This
get
is,
what
this
it's-
is how he broke.
Yeah. He got broken.
He broke bad. Feels like this.
All right. Donation time. This last hand? Get some.
35.
Dan's going to make it 35 with a very nice hand. Queen 10 of spades. Joseph, of course, going to play. Could 3-bet, decides to call.
Yep.
This is the last hand, I think, or the second to last. It's close.
The play. I think LA was saying it was the last hand. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it is.
It
But
does not. But Aaron is calling with Queen 5, which is not entirely out of character, but more likely to be happening if it's the last hand.
I'm pretty sure it's the last hand. Jackson is, of course, useless to us.
Yeah.
He's actually over there. I can see him. In the shadows, Jackson. I can see you.
He's trying not to make eye contact.
All right, let's
And,
take a look here.
Nobody has diamonds. Aaron has
That's
the
weird.
5 of diamonds, and that's it.
He's got a pair in the 5 of diamonds.
Joseph has the set.
Hey, Joseph has a set.
Do it, Aaron.
Action Aaron, thinking about betting.
Okay, I'll check. Whatever.
Brick on the turn.
Joseph probably feels pretty good about his set at this point.
Yeah.
Would love to see the board pair.
Some of that.
Check. Check.
Here comes the bet.
Aaron is the only one who could really... no, I guess Stuart could call, but it's pretty dicey.
Stuart absolutely could call.
You might regret that shit. I don't know what I have.
I think between these two players, one of them is probably going to end up calling.
Yeah.
Like if Aaron calls, Stuart more likely to fold. If Aaron folds, I think Stuart's more likely to. It's like
Then this could be my first losing. I mean, I could have my first winning session if I fold. I'm just. Yep. Oh shit! Aaron, can you have those back?
Can you get it back?
All right.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. I would.
yeah, that's what happens, dealer, when you give them cards. They mess around. Stuart does call.
Yeah.
I get it. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Seems crazy to fold when it checks through. And
Dan also has the queen with a 10.
Add a value to it.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
LA, I don't know what's going
we're
on.
not even looking at LA, but apparently he hasn't folded yet. Well, oh, there he is. LA is. I know. I said before he likes to take his time folding. He must be thinking about making a move, right?
He's using a time card.
Okay. You know, if he's making a move here, that's fair enough. This is cool. Like he's like, I'm really thinking about my flesh and how I want to play it, and then he puts in a big race.
Well, maybe Ken.
I did.
Oh, he really just looks like he's.
If he doesn't put
He
in,
looks just like a distracted person right now.
if he doesn't
not-
put in a big raise, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah.
I'm privy to it.
Well, I mean, he could be thinking about making the move, right?
Is this just a TV time thing?
Why?
YouTube. All of these wonderful people.
He's
get
been,
this-
but he's every time. Oh, I thought he was folding.
On my time cards, Aaron. Shit.
Oh, now he's talking about using his time cards. Maybe he is just wasting time. That would be
That's obnoxious.
pretty lame.
I was gonna use one
not enjoyable for any of us if this is true. But, he could still just make it, $400, and then that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Please do it.
Oh, so he's counting it out. But he does this too. Honestly, I played with this guy. He does things like this, and then he folds most of the time. Pretty much always. Not always, just pretty much always. And he folds. Okay, I don't know what that was.
That's one way to
Dan
not.
folds.
That's one way to not get invited back to poker time. Right there.
Here comes the river.
Ooh, 8 of diamonds. Nobody wanted to see that.
Don't tell me.
I hate this fucking game.
Yeah.
It goes check, check, and Joseph gets to win with the set. That's gonna do it. Jackson.
Put up the winnings.
He's not.
I see you. Just press the button.
He's drinking beer.
Press it's right in front of you. Thank you.
There it is. Okay.
Ken the big winner. Carter the big loser.
King 10.
No, I might not have.
Not a really swingy day though.
Not a swingy day, but maybe next time. We'll see you next week for a new session of Poker Time.